Well, I have a question for Carey, if unless there's someone else that wants to begin. In the longer version of the conversation, Carey, you spoke about being in Germany and observing the kind of education, Holocaust education, that takes place there, and saying that we needed something like that in Canada. And I wonder if you could elaborate on those observations and thoughts.
I'm sorry, I had a really hard time.
Okay,
Something else in the background.
okay. I'll try again. Is this clear to you?
A little bit, yes.
I was asking about your comment during the longer part of the video about observing the kind of Holocaust education that you saw in Germany and thinking that we needed something like that in Canada. And I wondered if you could elaborate on that observation.
Yeah. The first time I went to Germany, I didn't know what to expect about how people there would speak about, would think about, would talk about the Holocaust, and I was really surprised by how present it is everywhere, from the shooting stones to museums to monuments and memorials. There is a lot of very present commemoration, memorialization. It's part of the fabric of, I think, the German identity, and it's something that I think is a bit lost sometimes in the word reconciliation, where people feel like, well, we'll have reconciliation and then we can move forward. I don't know how many times I've been asked the question, when do we get to move on? How do we move on? And I think that's about, moving on is about leaving something behind. And I'm not suggesting that we should sit in shame or anything like that. But I think that for reconciliation to occur deeply, it means it becoming part of the identity. And I think that the time that I spent looking through and learning about memorials, Holocaust memorials in Germany, really helped me to change my perspective about what it's going to take for Canada to come to terms with colonialism and residential schools.
Thank you. Rabbi Michael Berg.
Welcome, Carey, and such a pleasure to continue to learn with you, Marsha. My question is, I often speak about how we're very much focused on the other today, and that we often stay in our bubbles, and it's very difficult to take down those walls, to encounter people in different groups, and how touched I am to hear both of your experiences of getting to know one another. And I wonder if you could share a little more about what that's been like to pop your bubble and to get to know the intimate experiences of a new dear friend, and perhaps what advice you have for us as we continue to be bubbled in various ways, and as we continue to imagine a better world, perhaps imagine ways to build the bridges that each of you have built so exquisitely, how we can do so to really open our eyes in a host of ways to both the trials and the triumphs of our peoples.
I'll start, if that's okay, Carey. Hi, Carey. I'm so lucky in that my job pops all the bubbles. I get to talk to people in every circumstance, in many places, many origins, many socioeconomic groups. And sometimes, it's a one-off and you have this important connection and you write about it and you move on. And sometimes there's more. It continues. this isn't really an answer, but I think we have to, sometimes we're forced out of our bubbles by being in different bubbles. I think about when I had my son, and suddenly I was in this mom's group. And, whoa, sorry, popped my pee. I was in this mom's group with all these other women who were from very different circumstances. The only thing we had in common is that we both had these infants. And we never asked each other, what do you do for a living? All of that was just on hold for that time. It was really cool, actually. And I formed some lasting friendships. And I have a big Hanukkah party every year. I haven't the last couple of years because of COVID, but in the last one in 2019, my friend Emma Owen, who was Musqueam, was in charge of the latkes. And she was at the oven putting in the latkes. I explained what to do, and she was in charge. And it was just I said to her after, I said, this is so perfect that we are collaborating and having this great time together at this party. And, my Indigenous friend is in charge of the latkes. She would have done a better job than I would have anyway. I don't know. I'm lucky that I'm forced out of my bubble because of work. And I think you force yourself out of your bubble if you can, in any way you can. Carey, you meet all kinds of people too, right?
Hi, Marsha. I hope everybody can hear me a little clearer than I can hear everybody there, because I can't pick out everything that's being said, but if the question is advice about how to do your work, I think. Well, first of all, I feel like whenever I'm in conversation with people who have been through trauma, people whose culture has faced trauma, I think that we already have a bit of an understanding about how to move through it, right? And so I feel like I learned as much as I might have to offer in a room like this. Because I think that it always is around the same thing. It's around education. It's around facing it, embracing it, and it's not about blame, like I said before. I guess it's about making time to listen to each other, to develop relationships, sort of like we've done, Marsha. Yeah.
I'm nodding again. I don't know if you noticed, Carey, in that video, I nod so much. And I'm really going to watch it. When I was at school, when I was a kid, my teachers used to make me sit on my hands because I talk with my hands too much, which I also noticed I do in that video. But I'm not sure what to do about the nodding. Like, I'm going to have to put my head in some kind of... Anyway, maybe I should just not make videos.
I think you just have to get comfortable with it. The very first time I saw myself on video for the Witness Blanket documentary, I thought it was horrendous. I couldn't help but notice all the little things that I was doing that I don't see myself do. But I bet you if we polled the audience here, none of them were bothered by your head nod.
Let's not do that. I almost got my phone out in the middle of the video and texted my best friends and said, I need some Botox. Hook me up, please.
I think we have room for just one more question, unfortunately. Yes.
Hi, Carey. Hi, Marsha. My name is Hummus Spund. My question is for both of you. And with respect to the non-Indigenous Canadians, for reconciliation to occur, is shame a necessary precondition for us?
Did you hear that, Carey?
No, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Can somebody else repeat it?
I'll try. The question is, for reconciliation to occur, is it necessary for non-Indigenous Canadians to experience shame as a precursor to embarking on that journey?
The answer is emphatically no. I don't think shame is a useful thing to feel. I think that what we witnessed maybe when Kamloops made their announcement about unmarked graves, and it was I think that there was a poll that showed that there was more awareness created by that announcement than the entire Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So I don't think of it as, I don't think shame is useful. I think that education is useful. I think that knowing these things and feeling an emotion about them might be useful. Like, I've talked with people before about how when something you believe about a country and then you learn something about residential schools creates like an internal conflict. I call it emotional dissonance, and sometimes that comes out of anger, sometimes it comes out as tears, sometimes it comes out as denial. And I think that the important thing is that we sit with that, not to feel shame, but maybe to feel uncomfortable a bit, and then to make it part of who we are collectively as Canadians, right? Like, I don't think that it's possible for Canada to not be a country that's kind of in colonization, because it is. But that doesn't mean that we have to move forward using those same types of mentalities and treating the land the same way, treating each other the same way as people did then. I think that we can find new ways of being in a relationship with one another. However, to get there, it does mean that we have to learn the truth. So it starts with education.
I don't know how I could possibly add to that, except to say that discomfort, a word that Carey just used, is a really good one. I do think we all have to feel uncomfortable. Or at least we have to look at it in the face. We really have to face what has happened here and what is still happening here. And I don't think you need to feel shame. I think the only time to feel shame, and I know it's such a negative word, a negative emotion, is if you choose not to do the work, if you choose to look away. We all have the opportunity now. It's all around us, so reach out, read, think, talk to people, listen, and that is the greatest way to do this.
Thank you for the question and for the wonderful answers. I think it is an appropriate moment to stop, given that we also want to support the Indigenous artisans and others who have come to sell their beautiful products. And to acknowledge that this is, again, one more step on a journey, an open-ended journey of learning and listening and then figuring out the next steps. So thanks to all of you, and I'll turn it over to Shirley.
My name is Shirley Siegel, and I'm a member of the Temple's Indigenous Truth and Reconciliation Task Force. I mean, to say it's a privilege for me to say thank yous at the end of this portion of this weekend's special events, it doesn't even partway express it. So just let me try, in my own words, to thank our two exceptional speakers. When I read in Marsha's book about her meeting with Carey on the witness blanket, she spoke about how she wanted to memorialize and call attention to the atrocities of the residential school system and her connection to him in that space where vastly different experiences met shared sorrows. And it was so obvious that that space was filled for us today. There They are warriors together. You are strong and you are resilient. And it was so obvious to me, and I'm sure to all of you who are here, that the stories do have a power. They have a power to influence what we do, what we say, and who we connect with as individuals. Your stories, as you said, were so fascinating, and that they got braided together, into one story over time. And so I guess we learned so much from you, from the richness of your connection, from your resilience, and how you dealt with your loss as second-generation survivors. So I can only say, on behalf of all of us, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And a few more words of thanks, especially to Fran for being our moderator today. It was wonderful. And also to Fran and Ann Alper, who are co-chairs of the task force on truth and reconciliation of the temple. Without their vision and their guidance and their help, and we would simply not be here today to have this opportunity to learn, yesterday's opportunity to learn and grow, and we owe them a tremendous vote of thanks. And to our many sponsors and supporters, and Fran, you mentioned them at the start of the presentation, so I won't repeat all of you, but also the other task force members and the volunteers and the amazing temple staff who've really helped us tremendously to pull such a complex technological event together, especially today. And what I wanted to say finally is that thanks to all of you who are here both in person and virtually, your support and interest is invaluable to the Temple's response to the call of action for faith groups as recommended by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It is our heartfelt wish that this weekend's events have helped to deepen our individual and our collective understanding of Jewish and Indigenous reconciliation, and as well our shared history with Indigenous people and their cultures. Yet, as we all know and was articulated just a few moments ago, there is so much work that needs to be done. So if you are interested, I'll put a plug for the task force, and you want to help us out, you can speak to Fran and Ann. And please continue your shopping, as Fran said. And I will apologize to Marsha one last time for quoting you, and I know she doesn't want me to do this maybe, no. But for those of you who were here yesterday, I'm going to repeat myself, and this is from Marsha's words from Kiss the Red Stairs. We all have a responsibility to know what happened, what continues to happen, and to make it right to whatever extent we can. So we look forward to seeing you at future events sponsored by the task force, and stay safe, drive home safely, and thanks again to all of you.